All right, today my main purpose of this video is actually just to explain how I built this garage for, it was probably around, it was 13,000, maybe 15, but I was able to build this entire garage for about $15,000, and I want to explain how I did it and some of the cool things that I did as I was building it. And and then anybody out there that is getting ready to build a garage, maybe they'll get some cool tips. And if anybody out there sees something that maybe I could be more efficient at in here, then I'd be happy to take comments. But we're gonna get to it. But before I start the garage itself, I want to show a few things before the garage was here. So we're gonna go ahead and walk up to the driveway. And so let's go up to the driveway, and I wanna explain a few things first. So before I had my garage built, I literally was, where this car is sitting is where I would do my side work. I would pull transmissions out in the driveway, and I probably did 10 or 12 in the time between me living here and the time of that, me getting my garage built. But I guess one of the hardest jobs I did was a Ford AXOD. They got the full front wheel drive frame in the front and all that, but it worked out. It just gave me incentive to look out in the yard and envision this garage that I was going to build. So took them out here, and the whole time I was bringing the transmission down to the patio, I was looking out in the yard and just envisioning my garage. Gotta excuse the mess, we're doing spring cleaning. So basically, I would tear the transmission down right out here on the patio, and I would power wash the parts with soap and water, and then I would bring the transmission parts in here. And there was a big freezer here, big old chest freezer, and that's where I would build my transmissions and get everything done. And then I would just take the transmission back up to the driveway and put them back in the car. But that gave me, it gave me money to be able to put into my garage. So the whole time I was pulling transmissions on the driveway and taking them down on the patio and then building them on top of the freezer. If you look out where the garage is right now, I had the Taj Mahal of freaking jungle gyms I built for my daughter. And thank you, Brianna, for outgrowing the jungle gym so I could tear that down and build my garage right where it was, because that's the perfect spot for it. So thank you, Brianna. I appreciate it. And thank you for helping me build my garage, because you were out there the whole time too. All right, to start with, the garage is a 44 by 32, and this video I would like to thank my dad and my brother, because building this garage for $15,000 would never have been possible without them. So thank you both. And I guess to start with, we talk about the floor. That was $5,500 to get this floor done as far as the concrete goes, and it actually has fiberglass fiber in it, so it makes it a lot stronger. So it has that, and this floor was professionally $900. We were able to hire two guys, really good guys, and they finished this thing. They had that big whirly-bird machine that you ride on with the fans that spin the concrete when it's drying to make it nice and smooth. And if you look over here where the lift is, there's 3 piers in the floor underneath, 2 feet by 2 feet by probably 3 feet down, which made the whole floor super strong. And it doesn't even have any joints in it. The only crack I have is coming down the center, and that's the only crack in this entire floor. But so that was about $5,500. And then getting into the reason why I was able to build this garage for 15 grand. Back when I was building it in 2000, my dad was a superintendent for a construction company, and they were tearing out a firing range. And I was able to get all the cinder block, all the 2x4s, and all the electric for free, because they were just gonna throw this stuff in the dumpster. And the universe was in my favor that year, I guess you could say. So it all worked out perfect. But to start these cinder blocks here, you can see how there's chips in the corners and marks in them. Some of them had bullet holes in them, but there's a total of about 1,350 cinder blocks in this garage. And my dad brought them up on a dump truck. I think it was 2, maybe 3 dump truck loads. And they had popped them off and they were usable, but I had to hand chip 1,350 cinder blocks. And all that was going through my mind at the time was $1 a block, $1 a block. So probably took me 2-3 weeks to do, but by the end of it, I had 4 huge piles of cinder block and enough to do the garage. So that worked out pretty good. I just had to put in the work, which I did. I did whatever it takes. So got the cinder block, and then all these 2x4s, I got them for free too. It was in a firing range, a full firing range. They had, rifles, pistols, and it also had a paintball range. And all the 2x4s he brought me literally were covered in paintball paint. So all I did was threw the 2x4s out in the yard and let it rain and let the rain wash the paint off. And all it did was let them dry out, and I kept all the straight ones, and that's what built all the walls with. So that was pretty cool. We got that done, and he was able to get all this BX wire, which was gonna go in the dumpster when they pulled it out of a space that they renovated. And I got all the BX wire also. So, I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better. Just cool stuff. So that saved me thousands of dollars right there. And I got all the sheathing on the roof, 5/8 sheathing, proper sheathing, the roof. Shit. And also I was able to get all the roof sheathing. It was 5/8 plywood. It kind of had some bullet holes through it here and there, but I wasn't too worried about it. It was still solid plywood, but I got all the roof sheathing for it also. So really what I had to buy was the concrete floor. We had the roof trusses were about $2,700 if I remember, the shingles and the siding. And my brother was able to get me all the aluminum for trimming it out, and it just worked out. It was just plain and simple, it worked out. So, and one thing I would like to show, my brother came up one day and he suggested, if you look at this roof line here, where it comes down, he suggested making a longer overhang here. And he said not only would it be good for raining, won't get any rain in the garage, but it actually makes the front of the garage look shorter. And that was awesome. It worked out. Got that done. So we had a 3-foot overhang. Plus the garage doesn't look like a huge elephant in the backyard. So that was pretty cool. And basically my dad did all the architecture work for it, did it all on his drafting board, because he does that too. And what he did was he designed an 8-foot ceiling garage. And the whole time I was thinking garage, I was building the garage around a lift. Because being a trans guy, pulling transmissions on the ground is no fun. So I built the garage around the lift, not the lift around the garage. But he designed it as an 8-foot ceiling garage. And he came up with the idea, no big deal. All we got to do is come out of the ground about 6 inches and then build a 4-foot wall up. And then we just built an 8-foot garage on top of the 4.5-foot wall. And if you look up there, you can see how the lift works with the ceiling height. So that worked out really well. That's good. All right, one thing I would like to note, before we started building this garage, my dad was pretty serious. He looked me right in my eye and he said, you know, son, after we get done building this garage, you'll be able to build a house. And I thought that was really cool. And he showed me how to do the cinder block. I mean, we were bricklayers at that point, and then we turned into carpenters once the garage, the stick part of it started going up. But that was pretty cool. And one thing, you know, when you're laying bricklayers get thirsty. So there's probably $130 worth of scrap aluminum cans in the walls, just saying. And, you know, so whoever buys this garage after me, just know that there's that much scrap metal in the walls. So to start with, as far as that goes, I'm going to talk about some of the cool things I did in this garage, me and my dad and my brother. But I guess you can look at these windows here. These came out of a townhouse job my brother was doing. And they're not terrible windows. They look pretty good. But they were upgrading the windows. So I got those windows for free out of a side job. And you come over to this sink right here. Simple hand washing sink is all it is. But put the sink in and I got it piped outside. And it comes out, pipes on the ground, and I got it going down about 2 feet in the ground. And I dug a huge pit here, probably not huge, but 3 feet by 4 feet deep. And I filled it with gravel. And then the pipe's running in the center of that. So the sink, hand washing, that's all I do. But that just goes down and it's kind of like a little mini drain, and it like a small septic system, but you're not pooping in it. But that worked out really good. I've only had to dig that out once in 20 years and redo the gravel because it kind of comes up out of the ground. But also when it starts clogging up, I just take my air pressure and fill the sink and get down in there and seal it and blow it out, and it blows through, and then it ends up draining. That works for about 1.5 years, and then when it clogs again, I just do the same thing. It works great. Pretty simple, but very effective. And then these doors here, he scored all these doors because they were taking them out and they were scratched up and stuff. Perfect doors, but he was able to give me all that for free. And then coming over here to this is the workbench. I talked a little bit in my last video about it, but the main purpose was how clean you have to be when you're doing a trans. But we got this, my dad got this bent for me, and there's 2 slabs of doors here, and then we just built a door frame, and this thing's been money for me. That's all there is to it. Great bench, and it owes me nothing, but it's still going, perfect shape. And then one of the coolest things I did in this garage is put this glass window in here. It's 4-inch block, and my dad pretty much did it, but I was there helping him. But when you lay this glass, it's not like cinder block that just absorbs the moisture. So me being young and impatient, he was just adamant about teaching me to go slow with these blocks and let it dry a little bit before you do another layer. So that was pretty cool. But I recommend this to anybody in their garage. Even if they have an existing garage, put this in here. It lets so much light in, and it also is a cool feature. And then he scored this beam out of a job he was doing somewhere. It's a huge beam. It's probably original 1930s beam. And it's just kind of neat to have that above there. Little mantle, I guess you'd call it. And then there's Goofy here. We got old Goofy over here. You got to come in close to him. He's kind of shop mascot at this point, but my daughter gave me that when I was younger, and I just got the garage built. And me having the ego that I do, I was like, I can't have a stuffed animal in my garage. What am I going to do with this thing? So I came up with the idea, go back to Goofy here, and you see he's hanging there. But so I came up with that idea. Goofy's been hanging with me since the beginning. You know, he overchecks my work, lets me know if I'm doing something wrong or not. But yeah, so he's a pretty cool addition too. Another note on this floor had professionally done, which it's beautiful, it's perfect. It's got the lean to it and the water drains out. But after I had the garage more or less built, I needed a pad out front. And I actually had this, I did this pour myself. It was 2.5 cement truck loads of cement. And I did it all myself. I did all the screening, everything you see here. So this is kind of homesteader as opposed to professional, but it worked out. I got a few low spots in it where the water sits, but it's no big deal. But just the difference between a professional job and homesteader. But it turned out, it's nice. That's it. All right, I was gonna wait until I got the garage cleaned up, but I figured why not do a garage video and see it in full swing. This, I got rebuilding this entire Ford truck, and got a Racing C4 transmission here, and we got his transmission all torn down, and working on my son's transmission also. This is actually just a tool now that I use, and this is his. We're getting to it, Marshall. To just prop up the trans, and then I can do all my building there. I've never used one of those tools that hang off the bench. I've always just done all my rear wheel drives from this, using that as a holding fixture, and it works perfect. That's good. All right, moving along here. I got my my wash tank. Kind of embarrassed about that, so I wish I had a nice proper tank, but that thing works fine for me. Got my press. I mean my vise. I got my grinder wheel and all that. Got my drill press, but this this press here, I kind of like. It's pretty proper, but if you look over here on the side, I got all my bearings. All these bearings I can use for a press tool, so it's right in a good spot to be able to just grab the right bearing race to do all my pressing for differentials and all that stuff. Any kind of transmission stuff, putting bushings in, it works good. And then you got this over here. I just got stuff, another plate with some hooks, hang stuff on. It works good. And this is one of my favorite features of this whole garage, being a mechanic and everything. But this is actually a toolbox that just has all my crap stuff in it. Got fittings, more fittings, nuts and bolts and washers. Got my hose clamps in there. All springs, got all my light bulbs, got all my metric in one drawer, all the long bolts in another, and then I got my standard drawer of just miscellaneous nuts and bolts. But this is my go-to toolbox, a must-have, works great. But then I just have my toolboxes and all my tools in it. But if you look at this here, we got a plasma cutter from work, and I had to do some practicing because I've never done that before. And I made this fish. That thing turned out pretty cool. And kind of proud of this too. Came up with the idea of just taking a picture frame. I got on eBay and Amazon and just started ordering some cool emblems, and I put that together. So that's pretty neat. All right, got my welder here. This thing is, this welder has been to war and back with me. It still works, about time to upgrade, but all I did was took my old R&R cart, and my dad got me these, this is the elevator wheels, made the elevator wheels for it, so it could hold some weight. Got my welder down there, and a welder, is like, if you have a garage and you're serious, you have to have a welder. Anybody who has one knows what I'm talking about. You can make anything with the darn thing. But I mean, I made this cart with the welder just to hold all the welding stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then come around, I got my heater. This is another one of my favorite things in the garage is we just got our, I call it the hog because it'll burn anything. But got the heater, and I made this 6 or 8 inch pipe. I welded that on the bottom with my welder, and then I just took a 55-gallon drum and welded that to it, and then ran my stack out. But that helps dissipate the heat like you wouldn't believe. It's so much better than just having the heater itself. And then if you look on this side, I got this fan here, and that just blows right across the top. In a half hour, this garage is heating up. Just nice and comfy. I can't work in the cold, I hate it. But that thing really works. Before I got this stove, I had 2 of these linked together, one on the bottom, one on the top. And that was the best heat I could have, but it ended up burning the bottom out of the one that the flames were in. So ended up upgrading to this, and this thing works awesome. Tell you. All right, another thing with the stove, I'm gonna do another video on safety, but I have a great story for you about this stove that you're gonna love it, but I'm gonna save that video for my safety video, but just something else I wanna talk about at some point. And then we have my oil drain here. I made this thing, basically cost me nothing. All it is the oil tank, and I put wheels on it with my welder, used everything for my welder, and then I just welded some brackets on here and some pipe fittings with the pipe, and then I got a thinner one, got my butterfly tie there, and as you can see, this is half of a propane tank. This thing is great. It's got a handle, you can pull it around, and it's been serving the purpose for 20 years now. Works awesome. All right, and then you got your torches here. This is like a full-on industrial freaking cart. My dad got this for me also off the job. They left it there, so he ended up bringing it home. I kind of completely stripped it down. It had cement all over it. It was all beat up, and fixed it up, painted it, and this is a proper welding cart right here. When he first brought it, they had tanks that were this high, and I ran them out. And the place I go to, they wouldn't refill them because it wasn't their tanks. And these are the biggest ones that I can actually buy. They won't let me buy any bigger tanks, so it's a little overkill for the small tanks, but it works good. And then coming over here, this is my son's El Camino. That's next on the chopping block, but we're building that trans for that. And as you can see, got most of the trans parts right here for it. I kind of buried this thing with the Ford parts, but we're gonna get on that as soon as I get that Ford truck done. But yeah, we're halfway through this. I got all the gear train built. It's ready to go. Won't be too long. And then every builder's necessity is this steam tank. And like I say, please excuse the mess. It's springtime, but this is where I do all my cleanups. Instead of using the power washer like I did before I had the garage, had to get a steam tank, and this thing works great. Does everything I need it to do. Put engines in there, whatever. Another cool thing I did when I put these doors in, I had a professional company put the big door in, and when I bought these garage doors, basically just from Home Depot or whatever, and normally the door would come up and go straight across about right here. But what I did was I took the framing out of the box and I figured out a way, and I used my welder. You can use your welder for everything. I made a microwave hanger in the kitchen. I was so proud of it. My wife was like, man, I just want to buy something from the store. I said, I can make it, hon. I can make it. We can do this. But anyway, I took the framing and I cut it what I needed and used that part up there, and I got it going straight up, and then got that to where it would work out. And then I had to take the spring, the tension spring, and I took that apart, and I went to the Home Depot, whatever, and got longer cables. So I was able to recable it and get that bar up there. So the only thing you got to do with this thing when you open it, it's pretty light right now, but it gets heavier as you go. So right now it's pretty easy. Once you get up, and I put another latch at the bottom, and if you look at it, it just latches. Works perfect. Not like a, regular garage door. Another cool thing. Another thing is my tractor here. I can't live without this tractor, but every happy homesteader needs one. But this tractor is invaluable to me. But one cool thing I did with this thing is this is the front end off of a forklift. Actually, we were scrapping one out, and I was able to rob this piece with the forks on it. And I just welded brackets on it, used my welder, welded brackets on it, 3-point hitch, welded all this on here, and now I can use the 3-point hitch as a forklift. And I use this thing all the time. So pretty good idea for anybody out there looking to do something like that, but I constantly use this. I don't know how I live without it. So that was pretty good. And then I got my garden rake there, and I had this to attach to that for the garden hoe. But then I got to thinking, I got a welder. I might as well weld a hitch in here, so that way I don't have to change them out. Don't even have to take the thing off. So that's pretty cool. And then I got the snow plow, and it doubles as a dozer, because 2 years ago I dug my whole foundation out of my house. This is the happy homesteader part of me, but I do all my own work. So had the foundation completely dug out, resealed the walls, put some windows in, a whole bunch of stuff, drainage. But this little tractor right here basically 3/4 backfilled my entire house. So you can kind of get an idea how invaluable it is to. All right, another thing I did when I was first building the garage, I was determined, because I was literally pulling transmissions out in this thing before I had the last shingle on the roof. But I had a cable coming from the house. It was above ground, coming through the air, coming to the shed in the front of the garage that I tore down. And it was going in this hole right here, just so I could have some electric out here. And then once I dug underground, we went 3 feet with the water all the way from the house to that side of the garage. And then on top of that, I went 18 inches down, which is code, to the other side of the garage. But in the meantime, there was this hole here where I had the electric. And after I took that out, I didn't think about it, the hole was there, but birds were getting in there. So basically, for a good year, because I wasn't gonna cover it up while the birds were there, it was the biggest birdhouse you've ever seen. Biggest birdhouse in the world. So after they migrated out in the spring or the summertime, in the winter, I just put a cover piece on there and put a screw in it. So that's good now too. No more birds in the hugest bird house you've ever seen. All right, and then you got I got the log splitter and the wood for the hog in there. Got to keep it happy. And then this is my daughter's car. We were planning on taking the engine and trans out of this for the El Camino, but my daughter decided that she wanted this car, so it's hers. And at some point we're gonna get to it. I may take some of the motor parts at this point, but we're leaving the trans alone. That's gonna stay in the car. Then at this point, I just want to show the addition in the back because I didn't have enough room. I needed more room. So if you look at this, you can see where these cinder blocks have been chipped up, a couple bullet marks, but it's worked for me. Then after about, I don't know, 2004 or so, I decided I didn't have enough room in the garage, so I built this addition on it. And it's basically just for parts storage, tractors in there. Got the garage door, it's pretty proper. And I also did all this, my dad taught me how to build a house, so did all this myself, did all the cinder block work, had this pad poured, and I can't remember how many trucks that was, but did all that myself, and just built the lean-to addition off the back. And it works great. Oh, and these shelves here, these are just doors that he got me. He must have got me 50 doors. So they work great for shelving. And then got the compressor here. I have this back here, so when it turns on, it's not that loud. It works, that works really well. And then obviously all the air piping and stuff through the garage. But, so we got the air compressor back here. That's good. So this is actually very important, but as any mechanic needs a proper garage to work in, but also any mechanic needs proper footwear. There's no way I can do these 12, 14-hour days sometimes without proper footwear. I mean, before I figured that one out, and whoever knows what I'm talking about knows, proper footwear is everything. But I've been buying these same boots for over 10 years now, probably 5, 6 pairs at this point. But this particular pair of boots here, if you come in closer, this, actually I made this one pair out of 2 sets of boots because I've been buying the same exact pair, but it just so happened the sidewalls blew out of one. Oh, don't get too close, man, I might stink it up, but the sidewall blew out of one really bad, so that one went out. So I didn't have the left one, but I had a good right one. And then the other one, the other set that I had, turned into flipper, and that was flip-flopping. And out of those 2, for some reason I saved that pair of boots, and I was able to make a pair of boots out of 2 different sets of boots. So, and then these lasted me probably a year and a half after that. And these are the ones I did my foundation with. They've been underwater, under mud, just hose them off, clean them up, and kept on getting it. But as you can see, they were done. So I just had to get a new pair. Just another pretty cool thing, but if I tried them Walmart specials one time and they lasted 1 day because I didn't have enough money to go buy boots. So I ended up just putting good boots on my credit card. All right, if at this point you've watched the video this far, you didn't watch it for the garage stuff. It's all about the sheep story. So here's the sheep story, the best I remember it. And if you come this way, all right, so I'm coming out of the garage one day and I look in the backyard and there's this sheep in my yard eating the grass. So my neighbor had sheep at the time, and obviously it had a hole in the fence so the sheep got through. So I'm walking up towards this sheep and I kind of come around it to try to get it to go back to its home, and I'm sitting there looking at sheep like he's stupid, and the sheep's looking at me like I'm stupid, and it wasn't going anywhere. So I figured if I move towards it, it'll just kind of turn tail and run back to the yard, but that didn't happen. So I walk up to this sheep and I grab its neck with one hand, and it flinched real fast. So I was like, you know, any normal person would have let the sheep go at that point, but I'm not normal. So I literally grabbed this sheep with two hands by the neck, and it was full on Randy Savage style. I mean, come on, brother, game on. So I grabbed this sheep and it takes off. I jump on its back and I'm riding this sheep across the yard. It wasn't a full 8 seconds, but it was a strong 6. And you know, if I was at the rodeo, I would have at least got a trophy for this ride, and maybe even some cash. But that was it bucked me off. So I'm laying on the ground there, looking at this sheep running away, and nothing hurt but my pride. But you know, that's my sheep story. You know, sorry to disappoint any freaks out there, but you know, I was riding the back of the sheep. I wasn't riding the sheep. So pretty cool story, but I learned my lesson that day. Don't ride sheep behind your garage.